Hello there, I'm another Magento dev. Right, in this video, it's going to be another module build. But we're going to deal with some different concepts, stuff I hadn't covered on the channel before. We're going to look at routes in modules, so creating our own custom route, which is a fairly simple thing to do, but one of them things that you don't do that often because, well, why would you? Well, you would when you're going to do something like this. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a module. You've probably guessed it, spoiler alert, on my old branch that I branched off. So I'm on my 2.4.5 install, my new install that I'm beginning to mess about with, running PHP 8.1. And I'm going to do a module that basically runs a custom collection. And the concept of it is new in products, right? So I'm going to create a route called new in, and I'm going to show a custom collection at that route, and I'm gonna have the toolbar. It's gonna look just like a category page, toolbar, layered nav, the lot, and I'm gonna walk through creating the module. I have created it once before. I created it this week, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and create it again off the top of my head from scratch to show you how I did it. I have got my files knocking about on another screen, so you can't see. And I'm going to pretend that I'm able to remember all my dependencies and all that stuff that I had to spend hours figuring out and Googling and copy and pasting off Stack Overflow, piecing it together from all sorts of different places on the internet. But I have got a decent module that you can use for any kind of custom collection basically that you want to show the cat. Obviously I'm picking new in because it's sort of simple to explain, but you could do it with any kind of custom collection, and as I say, it's going to show you a few different disciplines. So we're going to do it from scratch. So here we are. Right, where are we at the moment? We've got nothing. Let's just have a look. I'm going to bring up a web browser and just make sure my store's working, because I didn't test that, but I'm sure it will be. So it was M2 45P1. So you can see I've already been doing it, but because I had to build one this week. So here's my store, it's all up and running. And if I go to a route new in, there shouldn't be anything there. Yeah, whoops, and 404. But that's what I'm after. I'm going to be showing custom collection that looks just like this on that other route. Now, there's a few. Hopefully I'll hit a few. I can't remember, obviously it took me a few hours this week, but I hit a few problems, and I want to show the main thing of this is, as always, it's the working out, it's the mindset. I want to show you how I got around some problems, because obviously I get a lot of comments and stuff saying, oh, I've got this problem, I've got that problem, and it's hard for me to sort of, I can try and help, but it's hard for me to sort of really understand what your problem is. And obviously it's better that if you're watching my tutorials that you get a sort of you take on sort of the way I sort of go about fixing that problem, because all problems on Magento, they're always different, they're always slightly different, and the best thing to do is to experience a number of problems and overcome those problems, because it makes you stronger at problem solving the next problem that comes along. And that's why I want to sort of make sure that when I'm doing tutorials like this, we hit problems. Because it gives you sort of experience through me. Right, so without any further ado, so this was a question that I got asked during the week, and it's regarding creating a module from scratch. So I use this Magento Wizard extension, which I have mentioned before in other tutorials, probably yonks ago now, but just to recap, it's the Magento Wizard. And if I go to modules here, then you can see if I go to Magento Wizard, it's this one. Where is it? It's not snippets. I do use snippets. Magento Wizard. Where is it? There it is. I just seen it. Magento Wizard. This in here. So it's this one with a little magic wand and some stars. Version 2.4.5. 2.5.1. Where did I get that from? Oh, that's my version of Magento. Got it on the brain. Right, so I'm using that extension, and it's dead easy once you've got that installed to create an extension, or at least a bare bones. You Control Shift and P, or Command Shift and P if you're on a Mac. Magento Wizard. create new extension, then you pick, obviously I've already got an Adam sort of vendor, so now I want to name my module inside that, and I'm going to use that camel case there, so new in, and then it creates the extension for me. And what it does is it creates all of the sort of bare bones files, which is a great place for us to start. And now I'm going to start adding, I'm going to start by adding the route. So this is how I would get my actual new in page working. So we're going to start basic and just get sort of the page showing, just get the page showing in basically not a 404. That's what I'm after. So in order for this to work, I'm going to first need a controller, and then specifically in this controller, in order for me to have a new in URL slug, so just / new in, I'm going to have to use index, and I need an index folder, and then in that index folder I'm going to have index.php. Now, the reason I'm doing it using the structure is because in that controller, you never know, in this extension, I might need other controllers. So I'm having my index in an index folder, so I know where it lives, basically. And then in this, obviously, again, Magento Wizard gives me a nice lump of boilerplate, which is basically what I need. Like, this is perfect. So this has written this part of the extension for me, so I'll have to talk you through it. So essentially, in order to get this page to show, I just need to construct using the context like so, and then the page factory, and then all I need to return is page factory create, and it needs to match. So obviously, if you've copied this off Stack Overflow or something like that, just double check that your variables are slightly different, because people write them in different ways, but because mine is always generated by this module, I always end up with underscores. So it's just something to be aware of if you're copy and pasting from different places. A tip. So right, that's the controller sort of done. So that's dead simple, that bit. Now the route, Magento has a really sort of handy little way of managing routes. It's really sort of, once you understand the syntax, it's really easy to do. So in etc or etc folder, we need a front end route, because obviously you can have admin routes as well, and that would be a different folder. So I'm going to create a front end route, and then I'm going to create a routes file, and helpfully this extension will create me my routes file, and obviously these are placeholders, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all this way. So basically the ID needs to be what I want the URL to be, and then and same with the front end. You want to make sure that those match. Okay, so now we've got this in place. The next thing we need to do is add a layouts folder, so view front end layout, because this information here in the root and the information we've gleaned from the folder structure here, controller index is going to sort of come together and create a Layout.xml file, which we can then utilize to add content to that page. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an XML file, which will be new in, like our ID and our front name there, index, because that's our folder, index, because that's our controller there, XML. Okay, so if we take, for example, a look at, I don't know, what's a good example? Catalog. Well, we're working in catalog, aren't we? So if we look at the controller for here, we've got controller category view, controller category view, right? And one of our layout.xml files in here would be called layout catalog category view. So the catalog bit comes from, the category view bit comes from its position in the controller category view, and then the where is it? There we go, front end routes comes from our catalog reference here. So that's how it's built basically, just to give you a bit of insight. You've got, that's why it's index, and that's why that, because obviously you can check, look, control it, category view, and then we've got catalog. Category view is the, you know, it's sort of the concatenation of this information and that information. Anyway, little aside there for helping you understand where we get that from. New index. Same structure. Right, and so we've got this created. It's going to give us some boilerplate, which I'm going to get rid of. And now, to get the page working, I'm going to add a page title to the header. You don't get one by default. So if I didn't add this, I'd just get like the URL in the title tab on the browser, which I don't want. And it's also a nice, quick and easy way of me determining whether I've done it right, you know, and the page is going to resolve. So title, and we'll call it new products, right? Because we're going to be showing new products. So if I go to my newly created route, I get a problem. Right, head element is not expected. Right, okay, I think I've put it in the wrong place. So yeah, look at that, I've put it in the body. The eagle-eyed among you would have spotted that. And probably when you saw that, you thought, this guy don't know what the hell he's talking about, and probably you're not even listening to me now because you've skipped to the next video. To another Magento dev. There we go, new products, all working. Right, so I've got my route. Can't be bad. Right, okay, we've at least done that part of this particular job. We've got that successfully completed, which is creating the route. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is, actually, we're just going to change this. So bear in mind, as I added my route there, one column, didn't I? Which is just showing one column. Because I'm going to turn this into essentially a category page, I've got to make this 2 columns left. Now, this always catches me out when I'm dealing with XMLs. I always put the wrong layout here, and I'm scratching my head for ages wondering why my nav ain't showing. So say, for example, I had that back look, I'm getting the de facto Magento nav now. So I know I'm on the right layout as well for when I had the layered nav. Okay, so what we're going to do next. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build out a few... we're going to build out this XML. We're going to build out a few more blocks in this XML. And I'm going to explain why we're doing it. So, first thing I'm going to add, this handy little handle, or whatever you want to call it. So why is this important? Well, this is important because I want to show like a category page. So here's a category page here, look. And it's got page products on the body tag. And it helps with the CSS for default Luma theme render, look. So if I take that away, look, the grid sort of goes a bit funny. So it's worth, if you're wanting to replicate this page, or in future in any of your modules or themes, if you want to add an attribute to the page body, then that's your class, okay? Right then, so the next thing we need to reference is the content container. So now, after we've done this, we're going to build out basically the list block from, we're going to sort of re-add the list block from vendor, from Magento's core basically. Let me just close these down. So, because we want to show everything in the same way that it displays in the category, the best place to find what we need is, I just opened that a bit ago, is in catalog category view. So you can see here, look, we don't necessarily need to enter at that point products, right? We're going to go in at this point here, which is the list page, and then work our way through this one. So essentially, well, we'll start with the block. We'll do it piece by piece. So if I just move this to here, we'll be able to see it build up. So the first thing we're going to do is we need the list, right? That's going to display our products. Then we need all this content within it, within the list. because this shows things like the add to button, it helps with the compare button, the toolbar, all these things we want to keep. Now, the reason I'm not referencing this block is because in a minute I'm going to make some changes to it. So let's just make sure that copied in correctly. Just double check that. Right. As I'm talking, I'm not always convinced I copy or click on the type the right things. So bear with me a second. I just want to check this. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm copying and pasting in. Okay. But we're not referencing this block, and the reason we're not referencing this block is we're going to create our own with our own dependencies. Now in the scope of this tutorial, I'm going to talk through the block and add in the files for the block and how they sort of then interact with your layout and your front end stuff, because this is more for sort of people getting started. It's beginner stuff, so I like to concentrate on the front end and the bits you can sort of see than the actual sort of back end code, which, to be honest, in a lot of circumstances, I don't understand. You don't need to understand it a lot of the time specifically, because obviously if it works, it works. But it's one of those things that the back end code is a little bit more abstract, so it's harder to explain. So in these tutorials, to keep them as concise as possible, I'm not going to dwell too much on the back end. But this module will be on GitHub for free. Download it. You can use it in your store. You can check out the back end code and go through it at your leisure. Right. So this essentially is the block we're going to be replacing first of all. So in newing, we're going to add our own block, and we are going to add a couple of things. The first thing we're going to add is with regards to the product list. So new folder, products. And then inside this folder, so I'm following this, look, products, I'm not following it at all, am I? Product, not products. So product and then list products is going to be the name of the PHTML file. So I'm going to keep it pretty much the same in terms of its structure. Okay, list product. So I get a bit of boilerplate, which is always useful, right? And then in this file, I'm going to change it to this, and this is essentially, and there's a bit of a giveaway here, this is going to utilize code from, basically this is going to help me get the layered nav working with my custom collection, and it does require, and again, right, this model that I'm going to add, I'm just going to add it and I'm going to briefly talk through it. I'm not going to go through it step by step because there's a lot to it and it's out of the scope of this video. But as I say, get the module pulled down and have a look for yourself. So there's a model in here, and it's basically I'm setting up some new construct in here which helps with this, basically for this resolver, and this resolver is going to help with displaying the layered nav on a custom collection. Now it's code that I've pieced together from Stack Overflows and stuff like that. It works. I tracked it through during the week in terms of eliminating all the bugs. Well, I basically built it from bug after bug, and also in this model, crucially, the layer. So if you download this module and you want to edit it and you want your own collection, the layer PHP is where you will find the output of the collection. Now the collection, this is filtering the default Magento product collection. So it's not adding a brand new one, it's filtering it, and I'm filtering it by newing. So if new is equal to 1, then I'm going to show the new in products. If I don't have that filter, it'll just show everything. And this if statement helps with, it's either going to show my specific collection, which is like the new in collection, or this helps with when I utilize the layered nav and it moves to a layered nav generated collection as well. So it switches between the two, and that's really a sort of an overview, like a really high level overview of what that code's doing. But as I've put here, just to sort of help, this is where you want to edit it and experiment with your own collection. So this is the sort of the throughput of the whole model, but the whole model is doing other things, which again, like I say, out of scope for this tutorial, but have a look at it in your own time. Right then, so with that model, we also need to include dependencies. So there's some specific dependencies as well that I needed to utilize. So to add these dependencies, excuse me, I want to in etc add a di. So this is where you would add dependencies, and I'm just going to paste them in here, and you can see one of them is for my resource model, which is what I've added in a model there. So all of this put together basically gets my page rendering in short. But obviously the job ain't over from a front end perspective either. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to double check some stuff in here. Right, okay, so the other things that I'm going to need to do is the default Magento list page, so the page that I'm getting this information from here, it utilizes some view model classes, and for this sort of implementation of what I'm doing for new in products, it's with regards to the it uses this here, look, this data model here. It's with regards to the display of the swatches on the, for Luma theme specifically, these things. To help speed this up, I'm not going to use that. So I'm not going to try and rewrite this stuff. I didn't need it during the week for the actual module that I wanted to create specifically for a client, because not all shops utilize this options, those extra options on the category page. So I'm gonna basically copy this over. So this is going to give me an error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what happens. So I'm just going to run, actually I'm just going to run the module. I wonder if it'll all refresh. So let's check it. See if we get any issues. Yeah, right, I'm getting an issue. I think it's going to be the issue. Yeah, so basically it's all working. Obviously it's not working, but it's all working. We have got in here an error. Where's the error? There. List.xml. So it's looking at the one in vendor. So it's looking at the core list.xml, line 90, get options data. So it's exactly where I said we'd get a problem. So now, what do we do about that? Well, basically, you can basically make this do what it needs to do. So essentially, it's, as I say, it's that extra Luma functionality, and I'll show you where it is. So it is in this view model here, product, options data, and it's basically just that it's looking for. Right now, I'm not going to replicate this because I don't need it. So in that situation, when I don't need it, you make that decision. And how do we fix it? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this file over to my module, and I am going to put it in, not in that front end. I'm going to put it in front end templates, and then in there I'm going to match the path. So I'm going to say products, I think it was just products, and then the file. How do I? That's what I've done. Yeah, product. Keep doing that, don't I? Product, and then the path. So I'm going to paste it there. Ooh. Is it there? Right, so now I've got my version in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that because I don't need it. I don't need it in my, as I say, my implementation. And also, we'll come to the next bit in the next bit. So the best way to sort of work this through is looking at the errors on the front end in developer mode. In my opinion, that's how I do it. I sort of like work my way through any issues. So I'm going to point this at the one in my module. So I'm going to say Adam new in. And then I'm going to load it again. Okay. So it's working to an extent. So what this is doing here is it's showing 182 items all in there, which is coming from my collection. So these should essentially be all new in items. So if we just do M245, and I'll show you what I mean by new in. If we go to a product, and I think it was an Erica short was like the first one. No, how did I? Erica running shot. Let's have a look at the SKU. So you can click through. Obviously this is all working. Essentially our category would work. The only thing that's missing, as you probably can see, is the I'll leave a page. Copy that. The only thing that's missing is the layered nav. So we'll get that working next. So we've got the right. So we should find that this configurable product is marked as new in. Yeah, so new. That's the field that I'm doing. So obviously you could use sale. You can. I mean, you can use anything. And when I say use it, it's in this file here, isn't it? Where I'm referencing getting all new in products. So basically, it's working how I'd expect it to work in terms of the product collection. So that's that next bit sort of done, which is great. And now I need to get the layered nav working. So in order to get that working, I need to actually start referencing the sidebar and bringing this through in my XML file. So where are we? Here we go. Where is it? There it is. Right. So outside of the content container, I'm going to add the sidebar container. So this is sidebar main. So this is in the default again. In the default vendor folders version of this is again in here. So we've got, where is it? Oh no, it's not in there actually. It's somewhere else. Right, just one sec. But I can. The good thing is I am able to I am able to affect that sidebar even though it isn't in the exact one. I think it might be in layered. It might be the one from layered that I'm using. Yeah, so it's the one with layer view in it. So I'm using the block layer view, but I've moved it, and I've moved it for a similar reason. I'll show you why I've moved it. So if we have a look for what is it? This one, Magento layered. It's actually not in the default one. This is because Magento's Luma theme. I'm just double checking. Magento's Luma theme actually extends the core layered nav anyway, by comparison to the blank theme. So if I just go into Luma theme, I think I mentioned this in another tutorial for affecting the layered nav. I think when I was putting categories. So if we go Luma theme, yeah, layer, it was view on it. So in here, I think, yeah. So this is essentially the one that we want to be using. So right, let's work it. Let's do this. So basically, I wanna add my file layer view. I tell you what, I'm gonna make it first of all. I'm gonna make it the Magento one. So I'm going to make it basically the one that's found in here, because I'm using the others from in here, and I'm going to show you what happens. Because I'm using a different class, a navigation class, which I haven't added yet, actually, I need to do that now. So block, and then I need another navigation folder. I do need something else in here as well. I need an actual navigation PHP as well, and this helps with the rendering of my custom version of the layered nav. So it like helps tie my collection to the generated layered nav, because I want it to react like a category and show the attributes of only the products, those 187 products that are new in the left, as if they're a category. And for that, I do need to add a navigation.php. I want to add this in there. So again, it's referencing my resolver. And then in navigation, I needed to add one more. It was like something I did later on, where I needed to add the state as well. So that's like when you're selecting something. Okay, and I needed to add my reference in there for that as well, and pass my resolver into that to get that to work. So it's all basically all linked together nicely once I've done that. So let's just reload the front end, and I get an error. Right, I might need to recompile now I've added. Let's just set that going. And I'll just check through everything I've added. So I've added navigation, state, yeah, that's all in there. List product, and yeah, we have a navigation block, and I've added my could be that. What's the issue? I tell you what, I'm going to put that back to my specific one, and I'm going to add the right, I'm going to add, not there, close that. It's a folder called layer. So all these founds are found in layer, whether they're in the Luma theme template or in the Magento core. And then in layer, we've got a view.html file. And there's another one, there we go, layer filter as well. I'm going to use our own for. So layer filter. .html. Right. So now I'm going to paste in, or I'm going to go get the actual files for these. I believe I've gone and got the ones from Luma theme last time. Let's have a look. Where's the Luma theme? It's right at the bottom here, isn't it? Where's the Luma theme? Oh, it's there. Blind. Right, so view, first of all, I want this one because I'm working within Luma theme. So we'll just override this. And filter, probably want the one from might be that one. Let me just double check. Yeah, that one uses a view model look. So these are the issues when you're using the view model to get the data. So I'll just borrow that in as well, and it'll kick up some errors, and we'll just resolve them as we go through. Yeah. Okay, and the real sort of basic errors. Let's just refresh this. Right. Okay, it's all working. So it must have just needed a quick refresh. So. Okay, now I'm getting the error look on this function that can't be found, and you might have seen it there, but it was in this file, filter, the first one it gets to. Here it is in filter. This one here, which is utilising the view model, and all it's doing is basically saying, can it show the count? Now, for my money now, all I need to do is say yes, because I want it to. So I'm going to create a new variable called count on. I'm going to replace this function completely, and I'm going to replace this function, or this reference, and just basically switch on count on, right? In my theme, sorry, in my version of started Firefox inexplicably. Apologies. I'm assuming that's in mine. Yeah, that was in mine. Right, now refresh, and it'll get past that error, and it should jump into it. There we go. It's now working. I can't remember now why I added view. I think it was because it needed to be I needed to reference the one that was in Luma theme. So yeah, I've added view as well. But now look, we've got. No, that's why I did it. Right. So look here, I've got a weird thing going on. So I've got the categories. By the way, this is all working great. It all filters. Not quite filtering yet. I might need to reindex. Just one sec. But the other thing, what I wanted to do is, see how I'm getting two categories? I'm getting this one, which is picking up gear, and then I'm getting this one, which is the actual one, right? So I just want to get rid of the category, I think, from shipping options for personally, and I'm going to just show you what I would do to do that, because it's just crap. That I don't want that. I don't want that working like that. Let me just check. The file. So how can I do that? Well, that's why I brought viewing to my theme. So I know that these filtered options, I want to filter out any of the ones that say that are the category ones. Basically, I don't need them. If you want them, feel free to customize it your own way, but I don't, because I'm lazy. Right, and I'm going to say if the filter name does not equal category, then render everything, basically. Render everything. I'm just going to borrow this one. Just check that this is right. So that ends down there. Right. Okay, I'm just going to borrow that there. So I've got that if statement position there, and then I'll just refresh. Categories are gone. Okay, so it isn't filtering. It isn't filtering right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a final sort of refresh of everything. Right, so it's not working. It is working. It's working now. Just about to say it's not working. The reason why then it wasn't working is silly me. I'll show you. And I'm sorry I had to cut the video there because it was something I completely forgot to do. But when I copied in these classes from, or these blocks from the boilerplate from vendor, I forgot to point the class of the entire block, no less, to my block. So that one was essentially Magento's product list still, and I'd set everything up, hadn't I, to work from this one. So yeah, now it's working. Now it's working. So as you can see, it's filtering 18 products there. You can select as many of these as you like. Brings back the hoodie. So yeah, it's all working, which is good. So as I say, it's a real basic module. I just changed the name there when I was just to show you. So the actual title of the page is, as I said at the beginning, in layout. You can make this whatever. Products just in, for example, and give it a refresh that, and it'll change. So, and you can spell it right as well if you want, if you really want to. Yeah, so essentially that's a bit more an advanced module. We're sort of building up on the channel, and as I say, there's a lot more to that module happening in the back end than the front end. But if you download it, it'll be on GitHub by the time this video hits YouTube, and you should be able to sort of download it. As I say, use it in your store, make some changes to it if you like using the model, and sort of have a look through. And I've tried, you know, obviously it's as basic as possible. Have a look at how I've done it, and yeah, I'd love to hear in the comments how you get on. And speaking of which, feel free to like this video, give it a good like, send it to your pals, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel. It all helps. And thank you very much for watching, and I will obviously see you in the next one.